top stories in 90 seconds.
There was this hero type mentality, and now it's become a very politicized issue.
Tired, frustrated, and losing hope. Healthcare workers are feeling the weight of the pandemic 18 months later.
It almost is like we've become kind of the workhorses trying to get us through this as opposed to heroes.
We sit down with 2 Colorado nurses to hear about their experience on the front line and what they're seeing inside hospital walls now. Plus major progress in the race to vaccinate. Moderna now seeking full FDA approval.
The time to get vaccinated is now.
That and the promising data on the effectiveness of booster shots.
Because he was taken away. He was really young and, he was a really good father.
A father facing the unthinkable when a gunman takes aim at his young child.
He lived life the way that he died, being a hero for his baby.
Loved ones remember the life of a father cut too short while defending his 1-year-old son.
It's an opportunity for us to just grow, continue to grow as a team, and I'm looking forward to that.
And the Broncos making it official, naming their starting quarterback. Now Teddy Bridgewater has to win over fans before winning games this season. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday evening. I'm Jessica Porter. Unvaccinated patients continue to pour into hospitals across our state at a rate not seen since January. Tonight, our Denver7's Addie Guajardo sat down with a nurse at UC Health. He tells her medical staff are reaching their breaking point.
The overall feeling is a sense of dread.
For more than a year and a half, 12 hours a day, 3 days a week. David Keller, a registered nurse, suits up to care for patients at UC Health in Aurora. The most difficult assignment?
It's picking back up.
The intensive care unit for COVID-19 patients.
I've seen people that are younger than I am who have no medical history that come in and end up on the ventilator.
Colorado is experiencing a surge in hospitalizations not seen since January. In April, the governor declared a 4th wave. We've now surpassed those confirmed and suspected cases. Across the state, 84% of ICU beds are in use. 207 patients with COVID-19 are hospitalized at UC Health hospitals, more than triple than July.
We've seen our ICU here in this facility go from being at pretty minimal capacity to being full.
A sight and feeling fueling frustration.
It's kind of like we're reliving the past. They're as sick as when we started all this off, if not sicker.
And it's taking a toll.
We're seeing nurse burnout at an all-time high. We're seeing people leave the profession entirely just because of the strain that it's put on us.
David, a husband and father, even considered a career change.
We want to help. We want to do our part in all of this. But at the same time, there's a breaking point, and I think we're kind of towing the line right now.
As the stress, the trauma, and the fear of exposing his family weighs on his conscience.
I've probably seen at least a dozen people pass.
Howells once thanked the healthcare heroes.
At the beginning, I think we all felt like we were fighting this good fight.
A fight dragged on by unvaccinated patients now fighting for their lives.
You don't necessarily feel heroic anymore in your fight. It almost is like we've become kind of the workhorses.
Addie Guajardo, Denver7.
Hospitalizations across the U.S. are at their highest level in 7 months, with more than 100,000 patients currently hospitalized with COVID-19. But Colorado seems to be the exception. Our vaccination rate is among the best in the country. Our case rate is among the lowest. And even though cases have been trending up since July 4th, our hospitals have plenty of room to deal with a small surge.
This is still largely a pandemic of the unvaccinated. If you are vaccinated, people can contract it, but the cases are much more minor. So please get protected. You don't want to be one of the folks that regrets not getting protected from a hospital bed or, God forbid, losing a loved one.
On the vaccine front, top U.S. health officials say the FDA's full approval of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine this week is a key milestone that will help get more shots in arms. Moderna just announced it, too, has submitted the FDA for full approval of its vaccine. To improve vaccine effectiveness against the Delta variant, Pfizer and Moderna are also hoping for authorization of booster shots. And Johnson & Johnson says new data shows people who receive a booster 6 to 8 months after their initial dose saw antibodies increase 9-fold than a single dose. Today, the Denver Center for Performing Arts became the latest venue to require vaccines for its shows. The new rule applies to the Colorado Symphony, Colorado Ballet, and Opera Colorado. Masks are required for audience members over age 2. Proof of vaccination is required for adults. Kids who are not old enough to get the vaccine must show negative test results. The Loveland Police Department has a new lawsuit on its hands. This one coming from a couple who says officers needlessly killed their 14-month-old puppy named Herkimer in June of 2019. The couple was letting their 3 dogs play in a parking lot when a business owner called police to make sure they weren't doing anything suspicious. Body camera video released by attorney Sarah Shelke shows 2 of the dogs running toward the officer. He fires near immediately. Shelke claims the officers didn't so much as announce themselves.
Yes, everyone should keep their dogs, on leashes and restrained all the time. But this is also not a police state, and it's reasonably foreseeable that somebody might let their dog out for a second. Or in this case, with Herkimer, they didn't know the officer was there. And so Herkimer's sleeping inside of the truck. I mean, if they could have just gotten a audible sound of a heads up, they could shut the door.
We have calls out to the Loveland Police Department for comment, and we are still waiting for a response. A Castle Rock man was vacationing with family in Miami Beach when a gunman took aim at his 1-year-old son. 21-year-old Dustin Wakefield put himself in the line of fire to defend his son before being shot and killed. Tonight, Denver7's Ivan Rodriguez is hearing from those who knew and loved Dustin.
Just one day after 21-year-old Dustin Wakefield was killed in Miami, those who knew him are heartbroken.
Anger, because he was taken away. He was really young and, he was a really good father.
Wakefield was at a Miami restaurant with his wife, 1-year-old, and extended relatives when a gunman walked toward them with a gun. Wakefield stood up and got between the gunman and his family. The gunman then shot Wakefield multiple times. That gunman was later arrested, telling officers he was high on mushrooms.
He lived life the way that he died, being a hero for his baby.
Daniel Martinez's niece was Wakefield's wife. Both of them met here while working at Crave Real Burgers in Castle Rock.
They worked together for a while, and then, they started going out, and they just fell in love.
Years later, Wakefield started working with Design Mechanical Inc. as a pipe fitter apprentice, something co-workers say he had always been passionate about.
Since the day I met him, he was just this kind, wonderful person and wanted to make something for himself, and that means he wants to provide for his family. He wanted to work, he wanted to earn a good paycheck and have a career and go somewhere with his life.
In a statement, Wakefield's family says in part, it is in his true character that he laid to rest protecting his family. He is that man. We take great pride and comfort in the fact that we were blessed with the man who stepped in front of the bullet to save others. He was always and will continue to be our hero.
When you talk about a good person, that was him.
A huge price to pay for a young man who showed so much love for his family and was loved back by so many. Ivan Rodriguez, Denver7.
Ivan, thank you. Dustin's family has set up a GoFundMe account to help with expenses. We have a link to it right now on thedenverchannel.com. Tonight, we're hearing your thoughts on a story Denver7's been following in recent days. It involves 2 coaches who say they were forced out of their jobs at Valor Christian High School because they are gay. Last night, we asked you to weigh in on the topic and whether private and religious schools should be able to ask employees to leave over their sexual orientation. Many of you defended Valor Christian. Alan wrote in saying separation of church and state should be respected as the Christian school uses its constitutional religious freedom to expect its employees not to live in direct conflict with their religious beliefs. Sheila says more attention needs to be paid to student athletes who are also gay. She said, quote, if a coach at Valor Christian is being discriminated against for being gay, student athletes probably are too, but have nowhere to go to let someone know. We want to know what you think. Send us an email at 360@thedenverchannel.com.
So here is our now warped and kind of mangled, twisted Bridge 1. And is, impassable, obviously, for the public.
The water is almost fine. The trail, not so much.
I mean, we don't know for sure, but it will not be the same experience as a very well-engineered, developed trail.
We take a look at the damage at Hanging Lake and the path forward to reopening.
Temperatures a little bit cooler today, but there's a lot more 90s coming up in the 7-day.
And after weeks of suspense, the Broncos officially have a starting quarterback.
This entire team is hungry. We know the talent that we have here, and we know what's in store for us.